Okay, so I've been trying to get my head in shot for quite some time. This is legit. This is what you have to do when you have a cameraman. So I've got some spare canvases here. Okay, so today, sports fans, to my tens of adoring followers, we're going to be talking about Jackson Pollock. And if you don't know who Jackson Pollock is, you probably live under a rock. Well, anyway, so Jackson Pollock was an abstract expressionist painter, and he used to do something that the press coined action painting, which is rather than actually painting something to look like something, you follow the gestural movement of the human doing the painting, which later could be anything, like a machine or an elephant or whatever. So essentially, the best way to describe it is using the drip technique, which was something that he invented. So like, you don't sort of flick it at the canvas, you essentially paint a picture in mid-air. So, and then the flicks from the paint go onto the canvas, right? I mean, for ease of purpose, I'm going to probably aim it at the canvas today, so you can see the difference. Make sure the trousers aren't going in. I was pointing out to somebody online that there's a difference when you do sort of action painting, when you do drip technique, that it really does depend on the viscosity of the paint and the sort of fluidness of it. So I've got three canvases here. 1, 2, yeah, it's in reverse, isn't it? So 1, 2, 3. So they're all in shot, and I've got 3 types of paint. So you can see the difference. And then I'll do a close-up. I'll probably just do a close-up when I start painting. So there we've got solvent-based, oil-based, and water-based. This is like cheap kids oil-based, water-based poster paint, aged to perfection. This stuff's absolutely fantastic if you leave it for about 10 years. If you buy some of it, because it becomes like water flavoured paint, and that gives you a really interesting effect. That gives you some really interesting effects. I've got some here actually. So I was using this as a base for a painting that I'm painting, and you probably can't see it. The camera's not high definition, but you get some really sort of weird, sort of dull tones in it that. I mean, when you just use paint straight out of the tube and you buy yourself a load of expensive paint from a named brand, the pigment all looks the same and it's awful. You know, I just hate seeing the same shades of colour everywhere. You know, I really am an advocate of messing around with paint as much as you can to find something that's a little bit niche and just a nice tone that you don't see every day. So, without further ado, I'm going to do some painting. Right, so at this point I'm going to move the camera over a bit closer so you can see what I'm actually doing. There we go. So I'll do that to there. See, I love doing one takes, you know, because then I don't have to edit. Isn't that just amazing? Isn't that amazing, boys and girls? Right, so first of all, we're going to open up the solvent paint, which is from the name brand, which you may know, but obviously, you know. Right, so here I'm going to flick on some solvent-based paint in black, and you can see how the strokes, what sort of effects you get. And it's got this really stringy, you know, and if you're sort of making a gesture, kind of painting in midair, and obviously, you know, I find this quite addictive. I just love it. So that's your solvent paint, and that would be like the first layer, and obviously you can add onto that with another layer. Now I'm not sure what sort of state this oil paint's going to be in, because it's been there for quite a while. Now if you're using gloss or coloured gloss that you found, just be aware that old oil paint loses its ability to dry properly. But for a demonstration, it's fine. But to be honest, it's probably not. Probably going to take about 6 years to dry. You can buy turbine dryers and mix them into the paint, but I wouldn't recommend it. Bloody hell. This skin's about 3 inches thick. There we go. That's a huge exaggeration. This might be a bit too thick for the effect that I want. Yeah, that's way too thick. Bear with me, I'll find some different paint. Okay, that's pretty. Okay, that one's fine. This is an eggshell finish, but it's still oil paint. And eggshell, as I was once told by a lady at university, eggshell paint gets its name because it looks like broken eggshells when you paint it on. That's not true. She was nuts, but she was a right laugh. Right. She was nuts in a good way. Give that a good stir. What colour is that? Is that magnolia? No, it's chalkstone. It says it's chalkstone. I think it's magnolia. To be honest, sometimes paint companies relabel stuff because they don't want people buying to say it's what's the name? They don't want people buying to be put off by the name because it's like, oh, magnolia, poor people have that. I'll buy chalkstone. And it's exactly the same. Yeah, maybe not, because don't sue me. Paint companies don't sue me. But that's what I think, that's my opinion. Okay, so same sort of thing. You see those thick little flicks? So this is very drippy. Gloss is incredibly drippy. I've got a bit of cross-contamination. You just, you paint in the air, and you got this sort of drippy snowflake texture. So, okay, has everybody got that? I'll do a close-up so you can see it. Yeah, that was the best colour I had in gloss. And you know what? Just do this straight out of the tube, I guess. Got to put it into something, haven't I? Never thought of that. I'm smart like that, aren't I? Let me put it into a tub. There we go. Never throw your yogurt pots away if you're an artist. God, it's like Neil Buchanan's in the room. Okay, so this one's quite thick. Oh, I thought that was the one that had gone thin. Never mind. I'll add some water to it. So if your paint's a bit too thick when you're working water-based, add some water to it. You can use this for washes or whatever you want to do. I find it very therapeutic mixing paint. Okay, this is probably not going to go well. Right, water-based paint, quite thin. Yeah, that's just not working at all, is it? To be honest, if I was doing this technique, I wouldn't use water-based paint anyway. See if it works all right if I do that out of the... There we go. That's a bit splatty, isn't it? That's more like sort of Neil Buchanan host art attack. But and I didn't get any on my clothes, which is good because this is not my first rodeo. You try painting 3 splatty paintings without getting anything on your clothes. Okay, so I'm going to Steadicam. Just so you can, well, let me flip it around. I've got to keep it horizontal. All right, so that is the solvent-based one. And you see there, that's the oil. That's the difference in the effect. And this is the water-based, which was very unsuccessful. So basically, if you want to do a perfect Jackson Pollock imitation, may I suggest just sticking to solvent-based paint. That's the lesson for today. But you mix all those three things together and you might get something pretty good. So play around with that. Have fun at home, boys and girls, and we'll see you soon.